I watched a show about the Amish the other night, and I was kind of surprised by all the similarities between the Amish and Jehovah's Witnesses. When I was a kid, I always felt like it might be better to be Amish than be a Jehovah's Witness, because for some reason I always compared us to Amish. I felt like they were another extreme religion, but they kind of isolated themselves, you know, and did their own thing and lived in their own little society. While being a Jehovah's Witness, you were forced to go out and be in a society and around people that you didn't really fit in with and you weren't really allowed to be a part of. So I've always had this interest in the Amish for some reason. A part of me can kind of respect the simple farming life, but not with all the stuff that goes with it. Let's see, similarities. For one, they get baptized as adults, not as babies. So that's very similar to Jehovah's Witnesses. They say you need to be an adult to make that commitment, but yet the girl that they showed, that they were interviewing, that was going to get baptized, looked like she was about 14 years old. So, also like the Jehovah's Witnesses, you get baptized as a quote-unquote adult. But really, you're pretty much a child still. They are seen as unpatriotic because they don't vote, they don't go to war, they don't fly the flag, and I think they said that they don't salute flags, or that the kids don't salute the flag, which surprised me. But then later on they showed a classroom full of kids saluting the flag. So I don't know, the documentary is a little bit confusing. Apparently, like, according to what Amish community or church you go to, the rules kind of change. One thing that kind of surprised me was they were showing people using like washing machines, and there were people like farmers, they had something being pulled by horses, but on the thing they were pulling had a gas engine on it, so that was doing something. I don't know what it did, but they're throwing hay into it. And I was like, okay, so you're allowed to use that apparently. You can use an engine to do whatever that thing did, but you can't use an engine to pull you across the field. They interviewed a lady who decided she didn't want to be Amish anymore, and her family and everyone she knows, the whole community, will no longer talk to her. And the ones they talked to used the same reasoning to explain this, like, oh well, she's welcome to come back anytime, and you know, we're doing her a favor by not talking to her to get her to come back because she can go to heaven forever or whatever. Very similar to Jehovah's Witnesses. There was a lady who said she went to the Amish leader, forget what they're called, and told the Amish leader that her husband beat her. And the Amish leaders, I guess she talked to more than one, said, well, what did you do to make your husband hit you? I've heard that story like several times from JWs. So that was very similar. I saw a documentary years ago about them that was more centered around child abuse. This documentary I saw, it was on PBS. It was about 2 hours. It was pretty pro-Amish, actually. It wasn't like I think the other thing I saw years ago was like on 2020 or something. It was kind of a, you know, Amish are bad type of show. Well, this is more of a, it was more well-rounded. It wasn't just to knock them. I was surprised it didn't say more bad things about them. It seemed a little bit too pro-Amish. I don't know, maybe that's just my personal opinion on it, but it seems like there are other things. Oh yeah, school. The kids. They went to school up until the 8th grade, and then they weren't supposed to go to high school. There was a big legal thing about this, but they figured by the 8th grade you know enough, you know how to read, how to write, how to do math, and if you go to high school, then the other kids will be a bad influence on you, and you'll no longer want to be Amish or go back to the farm. And this seemed very, very similar to Jehovah's Witnesses' view on college. You know, they like, the JWs just want you to go and learn enough to get a job to support you, but not take up enough of your time that you won't, you know, go knock on doors. They don't want the college kids to be a bad influence on you, because they'll make you not want to be a Jehovah's Witness anymore. Same thing with the Amish. And they were talking to so many kids, they were like, you know, they was like, well, I don't want to, you know, stop going to school because I know that my life is just going to be living on the farm and it's boring. And pretty much they felt like after the 8th grade their life was pretty much set and over. So yeah, those are basically all the similarities I saw between the two groups. That, and they all knew each other and knew each other's business, and they said it's very, you know, everybody knows what everybody else is doing, which I would hate personally. Oh wait, I did hate that. I did hate that aspect, but the only thing that really surprised me about it was, besides the use of electricity and motors, which I kind of thought was, you know, I always thought the stereotype like Amish just hated electricity, but I guess it kind of, some are more liberal about it. But they have these like, God, I don't want to call it a get-together, party get-together, whatever you want to call it, for teenagers, teenage Amish. The thing that surprised me is they showed all these Amish people, and just about all of them were smoking cigarettes. And I was thinking, oh, these Amish kids are rebelling and trying to be cool to impress their friends. But actually, they said that Amish people can smoke. It's not against the rules. They grow tobacco and they smoke it. So I was like, wow, okay, Amish people can smoke. Who knew that? I always just figured smoking as a teenager was bad, or even as an adult, you know? But apparently they can do that. I don't know if they drink, but smoking cigarettes is just fine.